Today on our Inspiring Conversation series, we have Roopa Pai. Hi, Roopa.
Hello from Bangalore.
From Bangalore. And Roopa, she's got a very interesting bio. Roopa is a computer engineer, journalist, and one of India's best known children's authors living in Bangalore, India. She's written more than 20 books spanning subjects ranging from popular science to fantasy and philosophy to economics. Wow, Roopa, that's a huge repertoire of subjects that you've covered. Her books, which include the award-winning national bestseller The Gita for Children and Taranauts, India's first complete fantasy adventure series for children, are enjoyed by readers of all ages. And when I mean all ages, it includes me because I bought Rupa's books for my daughter, and guess who's reading it? Me. So welcome, Rupa. I'm really delighted to have you on our episode because you've already inspired me with your books and the insights that you've given. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Bindu. Thank you for thinking of me for this lovely series.
Lovely.
Yeah, let's go.
I wanted to ask you one thing at the outset regarding this whole pandemic. As you run a company as a guide in Bangalore Walks that does history and heritage walks and tours. How has it been not doing the walks rather outside and doing it all at home? What's been different during the pandemic?
Yeah, so yes, I do. I am a partner and co-founder of this company called Bangalore Walks, and yes, that was our main business. My part of it was to take children and young people out on history and heritage walks within Bangalore and within Karnataka trips. So that has unfortunately had to be stopped for the moment. But it's okay because that wasn't like for me that was not the biggest part of who I am or what I do on a daily basis. Those were the occasional ones. But what I normally do is I write. I'm a writer. That's my full-time occupation. And so the pandemic hasn't affected me personally so much because this is my life, being at home. I do work from home. I don't go out very much. I'm not a very social butterfly kind of. I don't uh, go out much to parties or anything. So what I revel in as a writer is the ability to lounge around until 4 p.m. in my pajamas with the excuse that creative people, I need to work and stuff. So I've just kept doing that. In fact, the problem has been not me for myself being at home, but that everybody else in the house is also at home. People who
Right.
used to go out, and leave me to my own devices, they are also at home. So that has been the problem to deal with. But no, apart from that, it's my life hasn't changed very much.
All right, all right. That's yeah. For you, it's changed because everybody else is in your space.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That is the problem. Yeah.
And again, in the context of the pandemic, I'm so thrilled that we're talking about your book, Ready. And it's very interesting because I think while you might have written it for the tweens and the almost teenagers, I think being ready is so important for everyone. And we all realize it in the pandemic right now because we don't know. Tomorrow is truly an unknown. And being ready is so important. And as a skill for our children, I think it's been the most important ever.
Yeah, yeah, I know. In fact, the book was written, it came out 3 years ago, in fact. It's called Ready 99 Must-Have Skills for the World Conquering Teenager and Almost Teenager. And it's inspired by the Scouts and Guides movement of 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, started by Lord Baden-Powell in England. Uh, and he was looking to make uh, patriotic young men and women out of teenagers and younger ones, to keep them war ready and to make them resourceful and to make them to have them for the same reason, for them to be able to face any situation with resourcefulness and cheerfulness and a positive attitude and a never say die kind of attitude. And to me that seemed very relevant, that especially in India, particularly the Indian urban kids. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, we had the Scouts and Guides movements as part of our school education. it was a voluntary club. You could join if you wanted. If you didn't want to, it was not mandatory. But we learned so many lovely skills as part of that. And it really hurt me that there weren't many schools are not doing it anymore now in India. And in fact, when the Scouts and Guides movement came to India, it came just a year after it was introduced in England, and it was a school in Bangalore, the Bishop Cotton's boys' school, that took it up. That was the very first place, and so it felt like a shame that this beautiful club was not there anymore. And I felt that Indian urban teenagers and Indians in general, what we lacked and what we really needed was what Mahatma Gandhi had been trying to promote over 100 years ago. This whole idea of self-dependence, self-reliance, because in India somehow we are so used to depending on somebody else for everything, to clean our homes, to cook, to drive our cars, to take care of our gardens, to clean our streets. In every possible area, we are always there. Somebody else will do it. Somebody else will come and fix the lights. Somebody else. So it's a very deeply ingrained thing in India. So I didn't want another generation growing up like that. And I wanted to tell them how lovely it would be to be completely self-reliant. The kind of empowerment that comes from saying, I can handle this. No crisis is too big. I'm resourceful, I'm cheerful, and I'm actually equipped with those skills. And especially when many Indian kids grow up and go to foreign universities to study, and then suddenly, they have to suddenly fend for themselves. It's a rude shock, especially for Indian kids. So it's better if they become self-reliant. That was the idea. And now in the pandemic, suddenly the book has become very popular because everyone has had to become self-reliant.
Yes. Yes.
You have to clean your own homes. You have to cook your own meals. Nobody's coming in from outside. So it has been a major mental shift, and this has been a good framework.
Wow. And this is today's time is the time where they need to be self-reliant and stay cheerful. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
the kids have been in that space, like, all in homes and completely, I think, taken out of their
Yeah.
comfort zone. And I'm talking kids because they're
Yeah.
used to a routine of school and, the activities and birthday parties, and friends and
Yeah.
playing. And suddenly
Yeah.
it's become like we're all at home and their routine
Yeah.
is completely
Yeah.
off. How can they be cheerful even through all of this and not have other people doing things for them? So it's just created a new context.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. And and this is also a way for them to occupy themselves gainfully. It's not just a fun book to read because it has many challenges. So if you set yourself one challenge each day or something and work towards gaining those skills, anyway, you have a lot of free time on your hands. The kids, the online school is only, at least in India, it's only for the younger kids, for about 12, 13-year-olds, it's only, I think, 2 to 3 hours a day. That's all. And a school would take up a much larger chunk of your time. And then the commute back. So children have time hanging heavy on their hands. There's enough of device time going on with just the classes. So this is something that I think children would really enjoy working at, because a lot of it involves using your brains, using pen and paper, using your hands to create things, and just internalizing some things some ideas and concepts which you may not have had the opportunity to otherwise.
All right. Okay. And I'm very curious to know how you've written and how the whole book is written. Can you give us a summary?
Yeah, sure. So I thought, what are 99 skills that, I don't know why I came up with this number 99, but it sounded better than 100 for some reason. So I said, okay, so what are these skills? So I made a list of skills. And once I had the skills, how to categorize them, how to group them. And then it came to me that really all change, whether you want to be a world conquering teen. Okay, so if you want to conquer the world, where do you start? So it all came back to me, because it came back to all the other work I had done with spirituality and philosophy and everything, and it all seemed to fit very well together, that in the end, if you want to conquer the world, you cannot do it unless you have first conquered yourself. So start with yourself. And it's like, like Michael Jackson said, Gandhiji said, be the change you want to see. Michael Jackson said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways.
Yeah.
So whichever way you look at it, this philosophy is the same. You start with yourself. So the first circle of development that I have put into the book, the first 24 skills, because I think there are 99 skills, so 25 skills. So the first 25 skills are part of the personal development circle. And I call it a covenant, a contract, a promise that you make to yourself or to the community or to whoever, saying that I will become this person. So, for instance, the first cycle is called the Personal Development Covenant. And the motto there is, I believe in being the best that I can be. Okay, and there are 6 merit badges to be won. And the first one, the very first one to be won, the first challenge that you have to win and get through is the healthy human challenges. There are 4. Because unless you can take care of your body, let's not even get to the mind first. You have to have a healthy body
Yeah.
and mind and spirit to be able to do anything for anyone at all.
True.
So first you learn to self-love, take care of yourself, respect yourself, and then we can go on to love others and respect others. So that's the first circle. The second circle is called the family and home covenant.
Mhm.
And the covenant, the promise that you make to yourself there is, I believe in being self-reliant and responsible for my family, for my home, for everybody else. And there we have some lovely badges to be won, including the housekeeper badge, which
Uh-huh.
insists, and one of the challenges in that is that children make their own bed. They learn to make their own bed and they make it every day. They learn to clean their own toilets after they've used them and not wait for somebody else to clean it. And the third one is learn to wash your own underwear. I mean, why should somebody else wash it for you? Why should somebody pick it up for you? You know, how do you learn to wash something and make it clean if you don't start with a small garment that you can easily do?
Correct.
So that's the Apart from many others, there's a cook one also, which is very popular with the kids, cook badge, which you have to win. So
And
there are these
again, very
badges.
relevant in today's times, right? All the kids
Yeah.
and parents and families are all in the kitchen cooking.
All in the kitchen. Yeah. So yeah, I know it's quite fun. It's quite funny how this has become so relevant. It just wasn't like, I mean, at that time I thought it was relevant, and a lot of kids did do all the challenges. But now it's become vital. It's become essential.
Yeah.
Earlier it was just a fun challenge to finish. And the third circle is called the community covenant. And there you make a promise that I will become an informed, responsible, and valuable member of my community. So how can you contribute to your community? In that sense, in community means even country and the world. So it just means the human community. But once again, you start with your own street, your own apartment complex, become responsible there, show some leadership there, do some work there, and then you can get on to other stuff. And so that is there. And then the last one is the Great Outdoors Covenant, which is, of course, that that is meant to show that you are not just a member of the human community. Your community also includes all the birds, all the insects, the animals, the trees, the rivers, and you have to be responsible for them too. Just as they take care of you and nurture you, you have to give back. I mean, they do it in ways that you don't realize, but every little bee is pollinating flowers. That is why the flowers become fruit. That is why you have fruit to eat. So it's done in an invisible kind of way. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't give back. So you should also consider yourself part of this entire web of life and non-life that exists around you, and do your bit with gratitude and with the feeling of sacrifice and with the feeling of service. So that the Great Outdoors Covenant, in that the promise you make to yourself is, I believe I'm an integral part of the natural world, not superior to anything, not inferior to anything, but an integral part of the natural world. So that's how it's been divided. 25 challenges each. One of them has 24, so make it 99. But
99. Okay. And you also realize the great outdoors, the whole way you're talking about the bigger entity, and when the whole lockdown and things happened, people talked about how pollution changed, like people could see stuff around and smoke
yeah,
reduced and all of that.
yeah,
So how important, and all of this we just took for granted, right? Oh, pollution's
yeah,
happening. These things just
yeah,
happen. We
yeah,
never thought that we could take responsibility and something could happen. And this actually
happen.
brought so much consciousness to the fact that yes, if I don't need to take my car or
Yeah,
whatever thing that burns fuel, I
yeah.
can actually contribute to reducing pollution.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone here, we could hear bird song, Things that we hadn't paid attention, because there was no noise from the street. You could hear the birds, and they did come out a lot more because they suddenly found themselves at home. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes. It's
again,
been, I mean,
it
it's really
makes
been
so
kind of
much sense.
reawakening. Yeah, this whole thing.
Right. It's like when you say it, I can just kind of bring each and every component in the context of what all of us are facing today. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful that it's like a timeless concept, right? You've created, Rupa.
I,
Wow.
well,
Total admiration.
I mean, I didn't create it. I just put it together in this way. But yes, of course, it's timeless. I mean, I just think some truths are just timeless. We just, I think it's a conceit of humans to think of ourselves as progressing in a straight line.
Mm.
I think we progress in circles. So what has been will be again. And so some truths remain eternal. Nothing goes away. You come back to it. It might seem to have gone away for a while, but then, you come back to it, because those are not to be denied. Those are truths. So,
Yeah, the
yeah.
eternal truths, and I think we've steered away from it, and now we're just going
Yeah.
back closer to it.
Yes. I mean, especially that whole truth about unless you love yourself, you cannot love anybody else. I mean, that's the most basic. And I think a lot of young people go away from that or forget that. And that's why we hear so much about depression among the young, and suicidal tendencies and anxiety. And they shouldn't, I mean, they're young, they have their whole lives ahead of them. They're full of potential that still needs to be tapped. Uh, they should be conscious of it. So I hope through my books to hope to tell children that you are limitless, you're magnificent, you're glorious. You just have to think about it and begin the journey from inside.
Yes.
Not think about, oh my god, all those people are, yes, there is a lot of bad stuff happening in the world, but you can get but there's no point you getting anxious and depressed about it. What you can do instead is to stay cheerful, stay resourceful, make yourself strong from the inside so you can actually help other people.
Correct, correct, correct. So, what's one skill from your book that you would think would spark that in the kids, like for parents to take it to their kids? What one or two skills?
Yeah. There are so many, there are some fun ones, but I think all of them, all these challenges, what they basically require is a discipline. Some kind of routine to be built into your day,
Yeah.
and good time management skills. So if you just say, like, healthy human, okay, set yourself some small challenge, say for 1 week, and let it be just 1 week to begin with. For 1 week, I'm going to get up and I'm going to exercise or do yoga or whatever your favorite form of fitness, dancing, whatever it is, but some kind of fitness, play a sport, whatever it is. But I will do it every day from this time to this time. And that might sound like a bit of a bore. Why? I can do it later, the whole day I'm at home. Yeah, sure, you can. But there is a certain, several lessons to be learned and several goals to be achieved by just keeping to that discipline of doing something every single day
Yeah.
at the same time. And perhaps it's not apparent what those benefits are in the beginning, but I think just the benefit that comes from, I set myself a challenge and I completed it.
Yeah.
That feeling will allow them to set themselves bigger challenges and better challenges. And every time they complete a challenge, it's just a feeling of, I set myself a challenge and I completed it, and it builds self-esteem and self-confidence hugely from the inside.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would suggest that they pick any skill from the book, whatever they want to do, but do it on a regular basis every day at a particular time. So that might, and best to start with yourself. Something that you yourself don't like about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stop eating junk or whatever, so then set a challenge that I will not eat that, or I will eat only this much of that. Take it into 7 dabbas and put it that every day only this much. And the kind of sense of achievement and accomplishment you will feel at the end of a week is huge.
Correct.
And if you do it for 3 weeks, then apparently they say that if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a lifelong habit.
Yeah.
So, that might be fun for children to do.
And what a great
Uh,
opportunity to do it right now, isn't it? To start.
yeah, because really, to start with, it's start small. I mean, you just take out 15 minutes of your day. It doesn't have to be, and whatever it is, I suggest that it be done nowhere near a device.
Yes.
If they can just do it, just depending on, that's why I like these things like yoga and stuff, because you don't need any props at all.
Yeah.
But you could even dancing, whatever, and don't look at a device and do, maybe for the first day until you learn the routine. But
Mhm.
after that, just do it. Just put on the music and dance and do whatever. So that, I think that's a skill that's much required as an adult,
Yeah.
discipline and time management, and there's no better time to start than now.
And it's good to start as a parent as well as for the child, so at least get them to start young. So
Yeah, yeah,
they don't become adults and say, oh my God, I'm crazy at time management and I can't do this.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and you're totally right. It's so it's an esteem boosting thing where
yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
able to set a small goal and then achieve it, and
Yes,
it goes
achieve
bigger
it.
and
Yeah,
bigger.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And another thing that I really loved in your book, and I think again context of the right now, is to how to keep a cool head during the crisis. I think
Yes, yes,
it was like amazing for me. Can you tell something more about that? Because right now the pandemic is a crisis and we all need
yeah,
to keep a cool head.
yeah, yeah. So in the book, I had put the cool head in a crisis as the kind of, to become the kind of person within your own family or community
Yeah.
who everyone looks to for reassurance or advice on something. So if it's, I in the book, of course, I've just said if you can have some numbers on your speed dial so that in case there is a crisis, you know who to call and you're not all at sea, my God. So I said, make a set of emergency numbers that your family needs, put it up on the fridge where everyone can see it, and let it all be. I mean, parents have all these things in their heads, but they don't involve the children in it many times. So I'm saying, child, if you want to be like the person who is responsible in a crisis, you do it. Even if your parents are not, then you say that we need to do it. You set up a fire drill in case this happens. Where, suppose there is a crisis, figure out one place where all of you will meet. Suppose you are away somewhere else and your parents are away somewhere else, and something has happened. Make a plan A, B, C. We will all be at grandmom's house. Then that is the point we are meeting, or whatever. And just talk your family through situations, various situations, and think of crisis management plans. Just doing that will make you feel far more empowered and confident should such a situation arise.
Yeah.
Because many of us just blunder through life thinking when it happens we'll see, but then we are completely all at sea.
Yeah.
But in this pandemic situation, I think the cool head in a crisis can be the person in the house who, whenever he or she senses the mood dipping and everyone getting all crabby and cranky, becomes the person who says, why don't we do this now? Let's the one who infuses cheer and the one who stays positive and the one who remains like unbiased towards either, oh my God, we should never go out again for the rest of our lives, or let's go out and party, it's YOLO, one life. No. So somebody who becomes the person in the middle
Yeah.
and stays positive. I think if children can just, I mean, I have some ideas for them, but I think it should come from within. They just, if they can see themselves, visualize themselves as that person who's always the cheerful, resourceful person, then ideas about how to do it will come to them.
Will come automatically. That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
So as long as they realize that they are the
yeah.
cool head and they
If
can
they
do it.
give themselves, put themselves in that role
Yeah.
consciously in their heads, they will start working towards it,
Correct,
towards
correct.
being that.
Otherwise, like in today's world, just by the process of osmosis, anxiety can come in, right? So
Yeah,
just being
yeah, yeah, yeah,
conscious
yeah.
about it is quite
Yes,
it's
yes, yes.
self-empowering.
And I think they can even visualize it in a very physical way, like, oh my God, everybody's getting anxious in the house, my guards must go up. They can actually visual, I don't want that to infect me.
Yeah.
So they, like in these books, like I have the superpower where I can build these guards, where my guards can come up the moment I imagine it, and that will not affect me. And maybe I'll go read my favorite book, which always makes me happy, and then I'll come back, you know, with my cheer and radiate that to the others and hope that will infect them.
Correct.
So, you can do all these visualization exercises for children that makes them feel like they are responsible for, not responsible, you don't want to burden them with a feeling of responsibility, but it is their superpower to do it, that
Yes.
they can change the mood if they wish, to make them believe that.
Correct, correct, correct. Wow. And you run these for kids, Rupa. Tell me more about, do you run this as a workshop or do you talk about it? What?
Yeah, I have talked about it for many years now. I used to go to schools and talk about these things to classes. And always very, very well received, this particular book and these skills. Of course, now in pandemic time, can't go to schools or anything. So I have started doing some online camps around this book, around Ready. And those have been fun too, because they get homework, like clean the toilet and show me, and then they record the, how gleaming their toilet is, then do a little video of it and send it. And everybody gets very involved in it. And at the end of it, I have parents telling me this was so fun, because you gave us a way to be involved with our kids while learning skills, not only teaching them skills, but learning skills ourselves and refreshing what we already knew but had put away and didn't think our children needed to learn. But the joy that the child takes in learning with the parent, something that is not academic, and not cooking, it's just something entirely different. For instance, one of the things in my book is to, as part of the, I think, handicrafter badge or some other badge, that they should look around in their home and see pick 5 handicrafts that are already part of their home decor, and then find out more about that particular handicraft and which state of India it comes from or wherever, and then find out a little more about it. And it ends up becoming a beautiful family conversation about, oh, you remember, between maybe mom and dad were saying, remember when we went on that trip and how much you wanted this and how much it cost, but it was so, and remember how that potter was making it. So it becomes a story which may not have been otherwise shared with the children. It becomes something to share. And then there's also one badge called the caregiver badge, where I talk about, if somebody is ill, if your grandparent has broken a bone perhaps, or has a long-term kind of illness and has had to move to your house, how do you become, as a child, as a voco teen, a good caregiver for that person? So as part of the homework for that, I had asked children to, call their grandparents, or if they live with them, and find out what all medications they are on currently, for various things and for various conditions they may have, and make a chart, a medicine chart for them, design and make one, so that they can tick it off and they know for sure that they have taken it that day or not. And this led to children sometimes who are living in very different cities from their grandparents having a deep conversation with their grandparents about, their health and why you take this and stuff that otherwise will never be shared with children. What medications the grandparents take, could be some blood pressure medication or diabetes, their children may never know. But this gives them a deeper insight into their grandparents' lives and builds bonds, So yeah, it works well, the courses.
Wow. And these are beautiful conversation starters. Like right now,
Yeah.
a place where sometimes the more people don't go out, there's nothing much to do. So a conversation can stop with, okay, there's nothing much happening. And these are such beautiful areas where we take for granted, but so important for both sides, both the grandparents and the child.
Children, and for parents and children, and for parents and grandparents. Because sometimes even the parent may not know exactly what medications their parents are taking, because grandparents are quite independent these days. So, yeah.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I love the whole concept of these skills being so relevant to today's time, Roopa. Beautiful. I really, really love it. And I'm halfway through the book. I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing and attending your workshop as well, as one of those small little kids. And I'm looking forward to doing all the exercises.
I'll send you the information. Maybe you can share it with others, also with your listeners, when the next workshop. I think the next one is in November, so I'll definitely share it with you.
Right, please do send it across. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, where do they find you? Your Instagram, which I'll tag, or any other place?
There's Instagram and Facebook, but I'm not on social media much, so maybe my email address is better.
Okay, I'll put it on. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Roopa.
Not at all.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Bindu. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.